How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. It helps out, means a ton. You guys get plenty of fun stuff, not just Jujutsu Kaisen. We cover plenty of manga on the channel. But today is Jujutsu Kaisen day because we just got chapter 165, and Gege Akutami is just such a good writer. The end of this chapter was so good, and the beginning is so fun, and what we learned about Higuruma at the beginning, great. So good. Anyway, picking up where we left off with Higuruma and Itadori, we know Yuji can't use his cursed energy right now, and that's a big thing for Yuji. Of course, this means Higuruma is going to go on the offensive, and we learn a little bit about him at the beginning of the chapter. Apparently, when it came to all his lawyer schooling and all of this stuff, it was kind of a piece of cake for him. People, when they heard about him, talked about him as a genius, but to him, it was simply gathering the correct information, putting it all together, and getting the right outcome out of it. It was basically a simple equation to do all this stuff for Higuruma. The dude is smart as all hell. He's incredibly talented. But past being a lawyer, which is something that was almost trivial for him, his true talent comes as a sorcerer. We learned that he was able to use his domain expansion and barrier techniques after researching his curse technique with barely any practice, basically no practice at all. Then, after that, he was able to reverse engineer his barrier techniques to understand the concept of strengthening things with your cursed energy, like your curse technique, yourself, things like this. This, actually, I really like this bit. This is fan translation, by the way. Some of these translations might change into the official, doesn't really matter. Anyway, I really like this because this kind of makes sense. If you think about making a barrier as strengthening an area around you with your cursed energy, then thinking of just bringing that down towards yourself into this area. Now, instead of strengthening that, strengthen this. So that actually really makes sense to me. So yeah, we start talking about this whole thing with Yuji not having cursed energy, and Higuruma's talking to him a little bit like, you can't muster cursed energy, huh? Yuji's like, yeah, you're the one who did this to me. Higuruma brings it up. He's like, you don't have cursed techniques, do you? And Yuji basically just has no comment for this. And Higuruma's just trying to kind of figure out why things are going the way they are. Because typically, when Judge Man uses confiscation on somebody, he takes their curse technique away. Well, considering Yuji doesn't have a curse technique, that got bumped up to removal of cursed energy in general, or the inability to use your cursed energy. Obviously, Yuji still has it, he just can't use it at all. So yeah, this is interesting because this is actually more disadvantageous than just losing a curse technique. If you lose a curse technique, well, you can still strengthen yourself with curse energy. You can still create barriers and stuff like this. Not everything is centralized to your curse technique. That's just a big part of your fighting ability for most people. Cursed energy in general is the entire basis for the entire combat system in this series, and Yuji just can't use it. So yeah, this is kind of tripping up Higuruma a little bit because somehow this kid is still here. I've already hit this kid with my hammer, my mallet, multiple times. He's right here. He even calls Yuji like an indestructible doll later in the chapter, because that's basically what Yuji is right now. And oh my god, I talk about it so much, but Yuji is so amazing. Even without being able to use his cursed energy, he's still able to just dodge around and actually fight back against Higuruma. He's not entirely on the defensive, even though he 100% should be, let's be honest. Although he is pretty on the defensive. Anyway, so yeah, Higuruma basically turns his little tiny mallet into a staff with a little hammer on the end. Basically a small kind of war hammer. Small-ish. Not most war hammers are supposed to be really, really long poles with a kind of mallet on the end. They're not like a gigantic hammer on the end like you see in video games. That's not typically in real life. Anyway, so yeah, he's basically using a staff/warhammer against Yuji, and he says, I'll crush him with everything I have, because he understands, even without cursed energy, Yuji is a threat. His physical body by itself, just naturally, is a threat. So yeah, he's going all out, and you can see that Yuji is literally just bobbing and weaving in between 6, 7, 8 different swings in a very short period of time, dodges out of the way to the side, runs up, grabs Higuruma's weapon, because remember, another thing here is Yuji doesn't have any weapons. He usually doesn't carry weapons on him. So something like a longer staff or warhammer is actually a really good choice from Higuruma, because typically you can keep your distance with that kind of weapon. Unfortunately, Yuji's just too good, and he closes the distance to grab it. Well, this doesn't really do much because when Yuji tries to pull it away from him, Higuruma just pops it out of existence and pops it back in. That's just what he can do. There's no real use in trying to grab the weapon from him. Anyway, when he does this, Yuji was already pulling away, so he pops it out. Yuji goes backward, flips over the tub, back onto his feet, kicks the tub at Higuruma, same way he punched the car at Yuta. I get it, kicking a tub at somebody and punching a car at them are kind of two different levels, but yeah, whatever. Higuruma swings up through the tub, sending all of the water through the air, comes back straight down on top of Yuji with this absolutely menacing pose. And he made his hammer like the size of Yuji's body. This is a very large hammer now, and he is bringing it straight down on top of Yuji's head. And yeah, like I said, this whole time, Higuruma is just like, what the hell is wrong with this kid? This kid is insane. He's like an indestructible doll. Because Yuji's sitting there, and Yuji's not taking this with no damage at all, but I mean, he's got his arms up. He blocked this. He's straining, and he's not just getting knocked out by it. And I'm pretty sure Yuji got slammed all the way through the floor of the theater. And yeah, this whole time, we can tell that this is really difficult for Yuji. Yuji is straining right now. This is a high level fight for no cursed energy Yuji, even as a physical brawl. And Yuji's sitting there thinking, he's like, think, there's gotta be something that has a downside for Higuruma. If he can just steal people's curse techniques and curse energy, that's a big deal. That's really powerful. There has to be a downside. And he's thinking, and he goes, wait, it's a trial, it's a court, a retrial, a second trial. I want to do it again. And all of a sudden, him and Higuruma pop up into the stands again. And this is true. Yuji was correct. He figured it out. Judge Man has to give people 2 retrials if they request him. He cannot deny this. So yeah, Yuji figured it out. Higuruma tells him, he's like, yeah, as long as you don't confess to being guilty, you can get 2 retrials. So, all right, we're going to do this again. And this is when we figure out Judge Man is a straight up asshole, okay? You're really gonna bring this up and throw this in Yuji's face? That's just cold. God, Gege is such a good writer. Anyway, so yeah, we get into this second trial, and the Judge Man says, Itadori Yuji is accused of committing mass murder in Shibuya on October 31st, 2018. So, we're bringing up the Shibuya incident and everything that happened in there with Yuji and losing control of his body. And we already know how much that killed Yuji when that happened. We already know that still weighs extremely, extremely heavily on Yuji's conscience. And what does Yuji do in this moment? He tells the truth. Says, yeah, I killed them. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna try and deny it either. And the look on Higuruma's face is just pure shock. He has no idea what to think, seeing this kid just admit to this. And Judge Man is pissed. Like, this floating pillow got very angry very quickly. Apparently, Pillow Man does not like Murder Man. Didn't know that, but now we do. Anyway, yeah. So, he gets mad, starts screaming confiscation, death penalty. I wonder how that's going to work out. Yeah, we're going to have to get to that next time. But what I'm really worried about here is not the death penalty part. It's still the confiscation. We're still back at square one. We still don't have our cursed energy back. If Judge Man had only said death penalty, and now, like I said before, fan translation might change. But the fact that he said confiscation and a death penalty, that makes me think we're just in a worse situation now. Like, that's not okay. And Higuruma said, if you don't plead guilty, you can get 2 retrials. Yuji pretty much just pled guilty here on the first retrial. What's the plan here? What are we doing? Did Yuji's conscience just kind of get the better of him here? Does he have a plan with this? What is gonna go down? That's what I want to know. What is the punishment for death penalty? Especially, like, what happens? Confiscation, then you get your cursed energy taken away, then whatever death penalty is happens, and I have no idea. Gege Tami is such a good writer for bringing this up in this moment, and having Yuji do that, and just like, yeah, I did it. Because the first time, it was just this trivial little thing of a kid who's under 18 going in and playing pachinko and going to get some money for it. Big deal, I get it, gambling, yeah, it's big deal. Was there really when Yuji did that initial crime, was there a victim? Who was the victim from an underage kid going in, winning some money, and then having some money to go spend on a popsicle and a soda? What was the victim there? This time, there were a mass amount of victims. That's why we call it mass murder. And this time, Yuji, while in a much more serious mood, completely admitted to it, but shows a lot of remorse. This has to hit Higuruma so strangely. Like, it's wild. So good. Such great writing. Judge Man is a terrible person for bringing that up to Yuji. I don't like you anymore, Judge Man. Higuruma, you're still cool so far, but I don't like your little floating pillow, dude. Don't do that to my boy Yuji. He already feels bad, damn it. Anyway, yeah, this was a super cool chapter. Yuji shows off his fighting capabilities like always, even without cursed energy. He's a beast, even though he was definitely on the back foot here. Did you see his face when he was underneath that giant mallet? Did you see him sitting there like, shit? Yeah, definitely on the back foot, but still an absolute monster. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.